play. Guess who? Body up the middle, making another move to the outside. 15, 10, end zone again.
Keeps it. Nice move by Brown. He's got space. He's got 6. 35-yard touchdown for Byron Brown. A record-setting night for the South Florida quarterback.
Down so far, a little bit of a high snap. Genty right up the middle. Genty has room. Ashton Genty, give him 6.
Second and long. Lagar tries to fit it in. Runnels, it does. Runnels stays up. The Suns offense 4-3 wins. Incredible effort for Runnels.
The G5 Hive. All G5, all the time.
Welcome to the G5 Hive Live. We're excited to bring you the G5 college football coverage you love each and every week. I am Luke, and I'm joined by my co-host, Justice. It's only taken all year long, but I've kind of figured out the finger pointing. I got it. We are only 3 subscribers away from 500 on YouTube, so wherever you are watching or listening to us, we would greatly appreciate you heading over to YouTube and hitting that subscribe button. The G5 Hive merchandise stores is now live. Link in the YouTube comments, as well as pinned to our X page in the bottom of the screen here. If you're watching us on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe button like I mentioned earlier. And if you're watching us on X, please give us a follow, a like, and a retweet. And if you're listening to us in podcast form, please rate and review. 5 stars only. We don't want anything less than a 5-star. Just like everything that we give you each and every week, 5 stars, nothing less. All right. Let's get into our G5 Conference Championship games in review. We have the American Athletic Conference.
Yep, Tulane versus Army. This graphic is from before the game. Army was ranked number 24 prior to the game last week. It wasn't much of a game. Army wins the game 35-14. Tulane, their first 2 possessions, I believe, they botched the snap on a field goal attempt, and then the next time they shanked the field goal. Tulane just had no answer for the Army running game, whether it was Kanye Udo, running back, or Bryson Daly. They just kind of ran at will against this Tulane defense. Tulane fumbled a kickoff. They recovered it. And the awesome thing about that was the kicker. The Army kicker is the one that forced the fumble on that kickoff. Army didn't get any points on the drive, though. They got to the goal line. They went for it on 4th and 3, and Tulane was able to stop them. It's one of the few times that Tulane did stop them. So Tulane gets the ball back, and then Tulane gets that ball back. I think they're down 14-0 at that point, and then that's when he throws the interception to Andon Thomas, and then Army takes that in for a touchdown. It's 21-0, and that was pretty much all she wrote. Tulane did hit Mario Williams for a deep pass to get on the board right before half. But they didn't do much, man. I mean, Mario Williams was really the only one that was effective in this game from Tulane's perspective. They were able to hit him on some deep shots. But, Mekhi Hughes never really got going. The Tulane defense had no answer for that Army triple option. And kudos to Army, right? It was a home game for Army. Great to see them in their first year, right? Their first year in the American, and they are the American champions. So congrats to Army, man. Job well done. Anything you had on the game?
No, I mean, just Tulane went for it on 4th down a couple times. They didn't get those pushes that they needed. Honestly, what I really want to point out here is just Army's left side of the offensive line was spectacular in the game. Great pushes. I mean, I know, Daly ran to the right quite a bit too, but he just really seemed to lean on that left side of the line. So just Great job for those Hog Mileys up front.
Absolutely. Congrats to Army Black Knights.
All right. Conference USA. We have a matchup between Western Kentucky and Jacksonville State. Jacksonville State wins 52-12. Anything that you want to highlight from this game?
So on the first drive, Tyler Huff hit Sean Brown for that touchdown. Sean Brown got injured injured. He had to get carried off the field. He did not return in the game. So stay tuned to see if his availability for that bowl game. Shortly after that, Western Kentucky wide receiver Easton Messer was seen. He was limping off the field. Easton Messer was able to return, and then it was the Jacksonville State running game and turnovers for Western Kentucky. Caden Veltkamp, they were driving and he fumbled a ball. Jacksonville State did not turn that into points. But the Jacksonville State defense just played really, really well. They harassed Veltkamp all night long. Later on, he threw what I thought was a pick. They overturned it. I really don't know how they overturned it, but they did. Definitely looked like an interception to me. That was near the end of the second quarter. And then later on that drive, Jacksonville State got a face mask on what was going to be the last play of the game. It was going to be a Hail Mary attempt by Caden Veltkamp. The guy that was sacking him grabbed his face mask. And so instead of there being a failed Hail Mary and a sack, they got 15 yards and they kicked a field goal. But at the end of the day, they were just too much Tyler Huff. Trey Stewart had a great game too, but it was Tyler Huff was the reason they won that game. He was injured. He had a brace on his knee, but he carried that team, especially early on. The first possession of the second half, Veltkamp got sacked again and fumbled, and Jacksonville State recovered that and took it in. And yeah, I mean, to me, the story of the game was Tyler Huff, and then how that Jacksonville State defense just harassed Veltkamp. I mean, they were in his face all night, whether they were sacking him, causing him to fumble the ball, him to make quick decisions. They just really, I mean, they were getting after Caden Veltkamp. He had a really rough night, and it was, it wasn't much of a game. It was all Jacksonville State. But so kudos to the Gamecocks. Great game. Only their second year in FBS football, and they're already Conference USA champions. So congratulations to Jacksonville State.
All right. Our Mid-American Conference Championship game, the battle for the bricks in the MAC Championship game, Ohio versus Miami of Ohio in Detroit. Your offensive player of the week, Parker Navarro, has a great game. Why don't you just talk to us about it, Justice?
Yeah, I mean, again, this wasn't much of a game either. Ohio, I think if you just looked at statistics, you would say this was not Parker Navarro's best game. But if you watch this game and you watch other games, this, in my opinion, this was by far Parker Navarro's best game that I've seen him play. He was like a magician out there. I was just so impressive, through the air, on the ground. He was just making plays constantly. It's just truly incredible performance by Parker Navarro. That second quarter, I believe Miami had the ball for 1 minute and 38 seconds. That's it. Ohio thoroughly dominated that second quarter. The Ohio defensive line was dominating. We had been giving praise to Miami the last few weeks, right? Their defense did not play good the first half of the season. The second half of the season, they really turned it on. They played really well. But the defense that showed up in that MAC championship game looked like the Miami defense from the first half of the season. They did not look good at all. There was a crazy play in the game, and Ohio's taking the kickoff. Coleman Owens runs it back. He almost gets a touchdown. He gets tackled like on the 8-yard line, and on the process, I think it might have been a punt. It might not have been kickoff. It might have been a punt return. He fumbles. He fumbles and on the 10. Miami recovers the fumble. Well, there's flags on the play, and the announcers initially announced it's a blindside block against Ohio. Well, first of all, the referees didn't call it a fumble on the field. They said he was down. It was pretty clearly a fumble, but they called him down. And so they go to review the play. They do say that he fumbled and Miami recovered. However, the penalty was against Miami, not against Ohio. So it was a blindside block against Miami. It was pretty clear that's what it was. They showed the replay. It was clearly a blindside block. The Miami fans were all up in arms. And basically, what ended up happening, it was a do-over. And so they kind of got Ohio got saved at that point. And after that, man, it was over. Ohio just dominated in all aspects of the game. Miami offense could never really get going. That Ohio defense played lights out. So congrats to the Bobcats, their first MAC championship since 1968. Again, Parker Navarro, Shea Taylor, those are probably the two standouts. Anthony Tyus had a good game as well. Coleman Owen. Yeah. Interested, Coleman Owen and Parker Navarro still have eligibility. Anthony Tyus, I believe, is out of eligibility. But, I haven't seen any portal announcements for Ohio. And so, my gut tells me they're going to give the job to the OC, and they're going to be able to keep most of that team together. So, kudos to the Bobcats on the MAC championship.
Bobcats just losing their whole team again, after what just happened, man.
Yeah, it'd be rough, but I think in this case, I think they're going to keep them. So,
all right, our Mountain West Conference championship game, UNLV versus Boise State at Boise State. Boise State wins 21-7. What were your big takeaways from this one, Justice? I mean, first, hold on. You've been giving your opinions here. I'll start, then I'll send it to you.
Right.
Boise State wins 21-7. We get Genty has the huge 75-yard run at the end of the first half. Pretty much honestly, I would say if I were to highlight this for somebody, it was Boise State's defense. We could have gone with our defensive players a week and just picked Boise State guys.
Yeah.
It's Shea Oladipo, Trey Benefield. They did great. Why am I blanking on his name? Number 7. He was
the cornerback that covered Ricky White. Oh gosh.
Yeah, he was just he didn't have the stats, but he washed out Ricky White. That he was a huge part.
Jeremiah Irby had a great game too. That's not he wasn't the one on White, but it was Amarian McCoy. Great game.
UNLV just had zero answers for Boise State's pass rush. UNLV's offense looked discombobulated. You had no idea, it almost seems like Boise State adjusted for what they saw last time, and UNLV wasn't able to make those same adjustments. Now, knowing what we know with Odom going to Purdue, I don't want to say that they didn't put everything into preparing for that game, but maybe things were a little bit off or different, or I don't know. I don't know what it's like to be in those locker rooms. If players knew, if when he was doing these deals, etc. But who knows?
Yeah, the one thing that I guess, and we talked about it last week when we were previewing the game, was how UNLV, what adjustments UNLV would make for that Boise pass rush from the first time, right? They killed them the first time. And I got to tell you, like, it didn't look like they made any adjustments. The two things that I thought UNLV did a poor job the first time around was handling the Boise pass rush and what tight end Matt Louder did to them. And both of those things happened again. And so I don't know like why, but that was a little surprising to me. And maybe it's just they just couldn't they did not have an answer for that Boise State defense. They couldn't really run the ball. They had two long runs, right? The one you mentioned, the Oladipo ran him down, and they had another one they ran in for a touchdown. But other than that, they didn't really have much offense going at all.
Especially in the half.
They were harassing Hajj Malik Williams all night, and they did it all without Alexander Tubner. Yep. And he's their starting safety. They thought maybe he would play, but he just couldn't give it a go. So just a phenomenal job by that Boise State defense. Once again, UNLV did not have any answers for him, and Boise State got the win. It was it was prime time. You got to see Ashton with that 75-yard touchdown run, and the best thing of the night for me was, like, obviously it's not intentional because he's running for 75-yard, but when he basically gave the Heisman pose in game, like that was when he kind of blocked that guy. That's definitely not intentional in terms of his mind, like, oh, let me strike a Heisman pose. It was a natural flow of the game, and so it was just awesome. And I tell you, if you did not get to hear the post game comments from head coach Spencer Danielson and the players, I don't know. I thoroughly enjoyed it. That team and those players, they play the game the right way. Utmost respect to them, and they deserve all the accolades and awards they get, and they deserve that bye. And so, kudos to Boise State. An awesome season. Looking forward to them representing the G5 and the college football playoff, because I think they have a great shot to win some games and make it to the championship. And I hope they do.
All right. Well, let's move over to our Sun Belt Conference. We had Marshall versus Louisiana. Marshall wins big, 31-3. Braylon Braxton played very well in the game. Jordan Houston, 17 attempts for 117 yards and a touchdown. For Marshall, Chapman played a big role. He was 8 for 86 and a touchdown. The big thing here was Chandler Fields was injured on the fourth series for Louisiana. At that point, it was 7-3 in favor of Marshall. He was thrown in on a fourth down, and they were kind of in this no man's land. Can't really punt, can't really hit a field goal. It's 4th and 2. They go for it. He gets 1 yard. It's turnover on downs. Marshall then goes and gets a field goal, and the 3 plays for 7 yards. So then Marshall gets a field goal. Then Louisiana goes 3 plays for 7 yards. They punt. Then Marshall gets a touchdown. Then the backup or the third string quarterback at that point, and then throws in an interception. And then they go to half. It's 17-3. But it felt like so much more. You're already down your starting quarterback. Fields has gone in there, played pretty well. It's a pretty tight game, 7-3. Then he gets hurt. If I'm remembering correctly, if I watched a lot of football, and there were some injuries at the quarterback, but I think it was kind of looked like a collarbone injury, possibly.
They were already without starter Ben Wildridge, who got injured 3 games ago.
Yeah. So then, they were able to hang tough there for a little bit, and then it was just kind of like they're not moving the ball. Marshall's scoring. It's 17-3 at the half, but like it just felt like this uphill battle. Louisiana only got 111 more yards in the second half, and it was just like too much going on. Marshall just almost seems to be this team of destiny this year as they march their way through the Sun Belt. Like just the football's an odd-shaped ball that bounces every which way, and they just seem to get every bounce. You know, you've got the JMU game last week that they do the fake field goal. I mean, that game had everything. You had all these injuries kind of in the offensive line going into the game, and it didn't matter. Marshall gets the win.
Yeah, I mean, it was they dominated that game. So congratulations to the Thundering Herd. And I think what's even more remarkable is all the stuff they dealt with in the week prior, right? Like all the stuff about Coach Huff leaving to go to Southern Miss. Said it's like the worst kept secret in the world. But these guys pulled together and got a conference championship and did so in convincing fashion. So kudos to the Thundering Herd for that win.
All right. A little bit shorter of a show for us this week. Thank you all for tuning in all year long. But come back and join us next week as we discuss what happened in that Army-Navy game and the salutes to Veteran Bowl, as well as look forward to the next set of G5 Bowl games. And as always, we bring you up to date on all the latest news and happenings in the world of G5 college football. Again, if you're watching us on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe button. We are 3 away from 500. Help us get to 500. If you're watching us on X, please give us a retweet, a like, and a follow. And if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, please subscribe. Leave those 5-star ratings and reviews. Thank you all for your support. Until next time, we are the G5 Hive.